Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be replacing a radiator on a 2012 Chevy Impala. So the first thing you want to do is you want to drain the coolant out of it first. It's leaking coolant already, but I have a little rag on there right now just kind of absorbing some of the drops. It doesn't really spew out a lot till you start it up, so it's not leaking that bad right now. But I'm going to go ahead and drain the coolant first. So I've got one of these right here. Something easy to pick it up. The drain plug is sitting right down in there. It's one of those twist caps right there that I'm pointing at. You just gotta twist that, and that'll drain all the coolant down where the black little catch is right there for the coolant. So you just twist that off and that'll drain out the coolant. So the next thing to do is take the motor mounts off. I already got this part off and this is already off too. And to get the radiator out, it's good to get this brace support out of the way. So I already broke that loose. You don't have to do that, but I saw that it's easier to get all of this out of the way so you're not fighting to get the radiator out and you don't want to scratch the car. Just got a little bucket and stuff. I'm trying to keep everything sorted. This is already off. So I'm gonna keep the motor mount bolts next to each other, that part, everything next to each other, just so I can keep track of everything. The next thing I'm gonna probably do is take off the box, so the air box is out of the way. It's just a couple clamps, a couple of these that gotta come off. The brace is already ready to come out. I just have to disconnect the wiring harness from it. All right, so I took the air box out. It's over there. It's weird. There is the ECU or either the body control module. I don't know which one. It's either one of those two. It sits like right under the air box. I haven't seen that before on a car, but yeah, definitely want to be careful with that. You know, you don't want to mess with that too much. But I got the air box out of the way because that definitely was taking up a lot of space. I'm gonna go ahead and take this vent hose, wherever it was going for the air box, out of the way too. And then after that, that should give me enough clearance to disconnect both harnesses from the fan. And then I could take the fans out and then the radiator. So I disconnected both of the connectors for each of the fans. I got the air box tube out of the way, so now I have more room. I'm gonna go ahead and break all these bolts loose for the fans. There's probably 4, I'm guessing, on here, 5. There's one here, one down there, one right here, and then I'm guessing 2 more on each side. Then the fan should come out. To disconnect these 2 bolts from each side right here, these are like little sleeves that the fans sit in. And when you take these out, the radiator and the condenser also sit in these kind of sleeves, so you have to push them up and then away, and then they slide out of their position because they're all together into one unit. So these little sleeve things right here, you push them out like that. And I took the bolt off them just to make it easier. So that's one bolt for one, and then the other bolt's for the other side. And those just slide out, and that's what's holding the fans in place like this. And you also have to disconnect this right here. There's one bolt right there, inside up. And now you can see that it's free. And then you go on this side right here, and you grab the fan like that and pull it up like that. Now it's been separated from the radiator. And now this is the fun part, trying to maneuver this whole thing out of here without messing anything up. So you just have to be careful because, you know, there's a couple hoses, couple lines right here that you don't want to mess up. So now that it's been separated, you just want to tilt it up one way and then slide it straight out. So I got the second trans cooler line off right here. It's right down in there. You can't really see it, it's behind all this right here, but it's down there. I couldn't take off the clip because honestly it was just too hard. There is like no room in there to really get a pick around it to pry it off. It's just being stubborn. But luckily with a wrench, 3/4, you could take off the actual nut right here if you need to. So there's 2 options just in case. If you can't do this way, you can unscrew the nut. Even doing that way was kind of hard because there ain't no room in there to work with, but it's disconnected right now, right there, so that's good. And that will finally give me room to take off the last little radiator hose. A little more forgiving just because it was at top, so it was easy to pop it right out. But this one I had to break loose. And then on this side, these clips right here, these little like black clips on each side, this is what your condenser straps onto. So that's why you have to lift down, I think, on it. Or no, you have to lift your condenser upwards to pull it out of these little sleeves. because there's no way to get this out or you're gonna, you know, rip your condenser right out. So you have to get all those clips unlatched by pushing up on the condenser, and when you push up on the condenser, it'll go off these sleeves right here. So that's just a little tip, just when you're pulling this out, make sure that your condenser isn't connected to this anymore, because it'll pull with it. Same with the fans too. The fans have those sleeves on top, so everything sits real nice in there because it has all these little clips that it sits on. Alright guys, so it's the next day. I got a new radiator in. It shipped the next day, but you just want to compare both of them, make sure, you know, nothing's different. But everything looks the same. So let's go ahead and drop it in. So the best thing to do is start from the passenger side when you're putting these clips down, and you just press down on this and the two clips will snap into place. This side is a pain in the butt to do. I had to push this outwards and then put my finger where the clip is and then press it in just so I could push down and snap into place. And the reason it's so hard on this side is because you have your AC lines right here, and also it doesn't really help because you have your transmission cooling lines in the way too. So this side's really stiff to maneuver, so just be careful because you definitely don't want to break one of these lines. But it's just pretty hard just because it's really stiff. There isn't really a lot of wiggle room in here to move this compared to over here. Like I can move this all over the place. But when you get on this side, it becomes pretty dang stiff. I mean, I got it pretty loose now just because I knew how to get back in there after trying a couple times, but I got it all in, so everything's nice. It's not going anywhere now, it's connected. So now I could put the radiator into the little grooves right down in there, so everything is nice and stable. And then I could screw this plate back in, the AC line plate back into the radiator, so these lines won't be moving around anymore. So I went ahead and connected the lower radiator hose. I also rotated the clamp because taking this off was a pain because it was rotated underneath. There was no way that I could like grip it at all, so I had to pull the whole radiator like upwards in order to just grab onto that. So I made it where it sits like this now, so anytime this has to be taken off again, it's just easy to grab onto it. You don't have to do it underneath, because this literally was underneath and there was like no way I was ever gonna, you know, put a pair of pliers to it to be able to break that loose. There was just no way because this whole cross member was in the way. So I made sure to do that. That's why I just make things easier for yourself. I don't know why. I don't even know how anybody got this on in the first place. They probably did it when it was upwards the way I pulled it up, because there ain't no way you're gonna fit pliers right here. That's how close to cross member is, you know, to this. So I made sure to make that an effort to do that. And then these are easy. Once you get these off, I had to take the clip off the bottom one because remember I broke this loose. So when you break this loose, you still have to get the clip out, but at least it'll be easier because you can move these around and, you know, pick at it and stuff, so it's a lot easier. But these, they just go in and snap right in because the clip is already on there, because when you buy a new radiator, they already have them on here, or at least they should. I mean, this one did come with it, so that's good, but you shouldn't really need to be reusing those. You should always buy new ones. But they clip right in. You can see it's not going anywhere because it's just one-time snap. The bottom one's already in right now, but it's underneath this, and that's what also made it a pain in the butt too. The transmission cooling line is right under here too, so there was no way I could do it because you would break this, or, you know, it was just kind of impossible. So that's why I had to pick this up and lift it out of the car in order to get just that hose off. I had to get the line off first to get the hose off, but what I was saying is if this was in the right position like this, none of that would even have been a pain. I probably could have got this clip off right here, but it was impossible because this was like this. So that's what I mean. It was, you know, kind of sucks that it was rotated underneath where the other cooling line is. So for the next part, I got one of the bolts in right there just to hold the shroud in place in a better spot. So you got these little rubber things that slide over right here. So I have them in the orientation they go in, not the orientation, but like position that they will sit in. This one's for right there, this one's for right here. Then you got this little center one, comes in down here, goes around the condenser and the radiator, and then it bolts right to that right there. So you just slide it right over like that, and then you screw them on down, and that'll keep everything together, and then it won't move around as much. I mean, it's actually pretty sturdy already, but that right there is the last part of putting these together so everything doesn't move. All right, so I got both connectors in. They just both clip in right here. Just push them both in and everything's good to go. All right, so I hooked up the EGR vent tube to the intake boot right there, and this right here goes to the tank. So I was spending like the last 10 minutes wondering like what the heck goes to what. That's why it's good to take pictures so you have reference. I mean, you know, when you're taking this much stuff apart, you should always take pictures, because I mean, you're gonna forget something. You know, you're not gonna remember everything, especially, you know, when you take stuff apart and then you wait like another day to do something because you're waiting for parts. So some things just can't be done the same day because you're waiting for parts. But I was over here putting this to the freaking intake boot right here because it looked like it fit, and I was like, dude, like, why won't this EGR go onto here? And I was just, oh, it goes there, because this right here is labeled tank. So, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm just too tired, so I just kind of wasn't paying attention, but figured that out. It just took me a second to put 2 and 2 together, that, you know, this goes here. That wouldn't be the best idea to be running this right into your intake boot, but yeah, figured that out. So that was just a little brain fart right there that I had to share with you guys. Take pictures, because no matter what you do, you're gonna forget something, especially when that project's sitting, you know, for a couple days or something. There ain't no way you're gonna remember everything.